welcome to the 457th episode of the Random Podcast from Heck. My name is Tony, and this is the podcast about random things in the world of entertainment, which includes movies, TV shows, and comic books. Big shout out to Andrew Loken. He is a big supporter of the show. You can be a supporter by going to patreon.com/gmanfromheck. Any amount you can commit to will be awesome. If you commit at the Rick Jones tier or higher, you get access to the secret podcast from Heck, which is an additional 30-ish minutes of extra podcast entertainment every single week. Lately I've been doing a lot of the DC Comics Silver Age books with the weird and wacky, goofy covers that don't make any sense. Sometimes Batman or Superman killing someone, it's like that doesn't happen. But there's an explanation for everything. Last week I did an Off My Mind about Scarlet Spider and how he's being treated like garbage at Marvel. But if you can't commit to a monthly commitment, you can also help out by going to coffee.com/gmanfromheck. You can buy me a virtual cup of coffee or 3. That is ko-fi.com/gmanfromheck. Not sure what this week's episode will be. Probably be another Silver Age. I'll have to see if I can find one lying around. Let's get started. What is going to happen on this show? The movie feature, actually, so here's something. I was worried for a bit that there was going to be no TV shows. I thought, like, oh man, this is going to be like the shortest episode ever, and there's going to be like nothing really to talk about. So there's actually going to be 2 movie features. The main feature is Backrooms. So that, I was super excited to see that. Yeah, there's stuff. There's quite a bit to say about that. So I won't give anything away now. But maybe if you follow me on Instagram or Twitter, X, whatever, you probably saw my early thoughts. The second movie feature, actually, I take it back. This is going to be the first movie feature. Backrooms is going to be the main movie feature, whatever you want to call it. The secondary feature, which is actually going to come first in the episode, is Passengers. So Passengers came out the previous week, May 22nd? Came out the same time as Mandalorian, that sounded weird, Mandalorian and Grogu. So obviously I saw Mandalorian and Grogu last week, really enjoyed it. It's not a huge epic Star Wars story, but they don't all need to be. That's all we'll say about that this week. I saw Passengers. And yeah, I was super excited for that, man. So I'm actually kind of bummed. I did not, and it's not a matter that I had high expectations, because I knew, it didn't look like epic or anything like that, but I was bummed out. We'll say that. And then it turns out there will be a TV show talked about this week. We have Spider-Noir. So Spider-Noir, actually, it debuted on MGM Plus. So I think it was on Memorial Day on Monday, and then Tuesday on Amazon Prime. Now, hopefully, it's going to stay there, because I do not have MGM Plus. And what did they do? They dropped all the episodes. So this is where it's going to get tricky for me, because I just do not have time to watch 8 episodes all at once, and on top of everything else. It's, we're at the end of the school year. So here's my main dilemma. What happened this week, I didn't get as much done, is on Thursday, I guess it was like a power transformer at my school was just dying or something like that. I get into this school in the morning. I got like a mini fridge in my room. I'm going to put my lunch in there, and it's like really dim. I was like, oh man, it's like one of the light bulbs burnt out or something. I was like, I didn't realize there was more than one, because it's not like a huge fridge or anything. And then I leave, go to the office, come back, turn on the lights, and it's like pulsing dim, like really dim. I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I go to turn the TV on. I got like a big screen where I project, because when instead of doing notes on a board, I write on an iPad, project it on a TV. Because my whiteboard, my room is actually sideways, because it's like longer than wider. I know this is TMI, but I don't. So the whiteboard is like on the side of my room, because it's just a weird layout. And I write on since I go on the iPad, I don't need a whiteboard at the front of my room. So the TV, it's like barely turned on and then it shut off. And so basically we had no power. The power was like almost non-existent. It was like just weird fluctuating bits of power. Like, if you looked at a microwave, I had a microwave in my room. The microwave is on, the clock, whatever display is on, but it will not work. So I guess if it was a transformer thing, more to meet the eyes, there's just not enough power coming in. And because there's no electricity, there's also no internet. So that meant, like, on a break or lunch or prep period or whatever, I had no internet. It's like I couldn't do anything. Because, so I was going to watch more Spider. I was like, maybe, I can try to do, like, 2 episodes of Spider. Nope. So it's literally like scrambling last minute, moments before recording now, trying to watch at least the first episode. Yeah, so we're at the end of the year. It's just trying to get her through everything. So things are just kind of crazy. I got a lot going on. So let's just get started with the show. So that's what we have: 2 movies and a TV show. With the news, let's see, where do we start? Sebastian Stan, he told someone, I forgot who. I should note this down or something like that. But I saw him mention that he's going to be playing, quote unquote, many roles in the Batman Part 2. So many roles. Does 2 count as many? I mean, it could be, because if he's playing Two-Face, he's playing Harvey Dent, he's playing Two-Face. So that's not really like a shocker or anything like that. But the fact that he would say it and people are talking about it, I mean, it can't be anything else. That just wouldn't make any sense. So I don't know. We'll have to see. James Gunn news. So on Threads, someone asked James Gunn, when will we see Zod, or I remember it said Zod, General Zod, Doomsday, Dr. Fate, Black Adam, Ultraman, or Darkseid? And he said, we'll be seeing 2 of them in not too long. So let's think about that. It's probably not going to be Darkseid. I would say, actually, no, well, I don't think we'll see Darkseid anytime soon. But we could, probably not, since there's a whole Zack Snyder stuff. So we're probably not going to see Zod. I don't think we'd see Zod or Doomsday either anytime soon. Maybe, but I don't think so. We probably won't see Black Adam anytime soon because of Dwayne Johnson. So who does that leave? That leaves Ultraman, which, we have that clone of Superman. Is that going to be Bizarro? Or could it be, I don't think they would do, I don't even know if we would see that. And then that leaves Dr. Fate. So Dr. Fate probably, there's more likely that he would pop up somewhere. Wait, didn't Pierce Bronson play, he played Dr. Fate, right? In Black Adam? So maybe, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know how I feel about DCU so far. We'll see. But I am excited about Supergirl. I'll say that. James Gunn also said on Threads that Creature Commando Season 2 won't be long after Man of Steel. Now, what are we talking about Man of Steel? I think that's what he said. Well, unless it was supposed to be Man of Tomorrow. Because we have Man of Tomorrow come out. I don't think there's a Man of Steel. That can't be right. There's not a Man of Steel, right? Because that was the other thing. I don't know, so we'll get it sometime. Oh, apparently there was an alternate ending to Scream 7 with Matthew Lillard. And I guess it didn't play well with the test audience. So they're like, yeah, let's not do that. It was supposed to, I don't want to give anything away, but you can kind of probably figure it out. Which it kind of bums me out that I think he mentioned this, it was at a Fan Expo. And I don't know if he should be saying that. I guess we'll see, will this be included in the Blu-ray, the 4K Blu-ray that comes out, is it June 2nd? This week? Soon, or this week or next week. And basically, it was going to play during the credits. And what Matthew Lillard said is like, well, probably if the credits were, because when the test audience saw it, there was no credits. So I guess they didn't get like what was going on. But he said like if the credits were there, they probably would have understood. But the fact that he's like talking about it, that means, well, they're not going to use it. Because it would make sense if you know what I'm talking about. But I don't want to spoil things because whatever. So that's kind of a bummer. Did you read the comic That Texas Blood? I feel like I started reading it. I don't know. It was by Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips. I can't remember if I read it, but it's going to be an FX show. So the comic has 3 volumes, so there's quite a bit of issues. So you might want to check it out to see. Just to get a heads up, it's like not a superhero book at all. It's about like a sheriff. I don't remember. It's about Texas, and I know there's like a sheriff, and I don't remember. But I feel like I did like I have some of the issues, but not all of them. Bad news, maybe, or maybe good news. Apparently, well, I think Dana Carvey mentioned this on a podcast. Is there's like 2 more Shrek movies in the works, like 5 and 6 are going to be happening. It's like 5 and 6. So are there 4 Shrek movies? I don't think I've seen 4 Shrek movies. I don't even know if I've seen 3 Shrek movies. So there's more Shrek coming. Yay? I don't know. Charlize Theron, she thinks that they might have passed the moment for a sequel to Atomic Blonde. So I think it's like, yeah, we probably missed it. It's too late to do it. I don't think you necessarily have to say that. I didn't see the movie when it first came out. I watched it on Blu-ray probably, and I seem to recall, or maybe a stream. It doesn't matter, right? I saw it. I either streamed it on HBO or Netflix or something. But I seem to recall, from what I remember, it seemed like it was a good movie. It was a decent movie. I don't even remember how it ended or anything like that. But wasn't she like some sort of like kick-ass secret agent or spy or something? So, they could always tell the story 10 years later, 20 years, however long it's been, and have like we've seen so many like older version of the character, and they're a little not as in shape as they used to be, but they're still kicking butt in that, or they've been in retirement and something pulls, but or maybe she's at like, nah, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't know. We'll see. Bad news for Doctor Who fans. Well, this is according to The Sun, which is like a tabloid, right? They're saying that, or they're suggesting that the 2026 Christmas holiday special might be postponed until Easter 2027. And they're saying that they're having difficulty, or it's hard to find someone who will take the role as the next Doctor, and partially because there's a lot of baggage that goes with it. You have all the previous shows, and I think that this is something like, whatever this Christmas episode will be, people are going to make comparisons to past Christmas episodes. So there's like that pressure to try to live up to expectations. But that's more on the writer and director. The Christmas specials, they're only as good as the story. Because if it's a weak story, it doesn't matter if it's David Tennant or whoever the Doctor is. If it's not a good story, it's not going to be a good episode. So whoever writes it and directs it. I'm curious, where is it going to air? Because I don't think we know. Because I don't think it's happening at Disney Plus anymore, which is a shame. And it's this. Okay, I don't want to get in a rant, but this just annoys me how toxic fandom can like ruin things. People had a problem with Nikita Gundi because, and it wasn't even him. It would have been the writing. But oh no, the Doctor is emotional. He's crying. Big deal. And so they're just people that had issues with this, they never cry. They don't care about anything. They're so tough and manly that they have no tears. They got sawdust in their tear ducts. So I don't know. I mean, I thought there were some cool episodes. Some episodes were a little annoying, but I feel that it's always like that with Doctor Who. You know, you got some hits and misses, but I just want more Doctor Who. Who knows when that's going to be? It's ridiculous. And I just wonder. I hope it's not an MGM Plus, because I talked about like last week or week before that episodes are airing there now, but not all. I don't even understand this deal, that whatever happened. So we shall have to wait and see. Hopefully we'll find out something soon. The last bit of news is Iman Vellani. She said on some podcast, I think it was like Revenge podcast, or I'm so horrible with this. But she said on a podcast that she just got to visit the set of Daredevil Born Again season 3. What does that mean? Why would she visit the set? Is she visiting the set because she's going to have some sort of role or cameo? Or she just happened to be in the neighborhood and Marvel's like, hey, you want to swing by? I mean, we saw Kamala's father in an episode, that was season 1. So there's that connection. It's possible for her to make an appearance. But if she, so part of me feels like she's not making an appearance, because if she is, she shouldn't have said that she visited the set, because that's like a big spoiler, and Marvel would have a fit. And I feel like she knows better than that at this point. So it seems like maybe she did just visit it, because I don't think Marvel would want her saying, it would be like saying if she said, I visited a set of Avengers Doomsday, and then it's like, oh, so you're in the movie. You know, you're not going to have, why would you have an actor that plays a comic character in that universe visit a set and not do anything with it? But who knows? All I know is there's going to be a lot more podcasts. That's the news for the week. Okay, it looks like I didn't read a lot, or I didn't read everything. And I think I've read an okay amount. It turns out I did not read anything at Image. We had Exquisite Corpses number 13. I am so far behind. I'm actually kind of surprised. I need to get caught up, because I'm kind of surprised that it's still going, because I forget how many killers there were that visited this town, and I felt like they kind of went through quite a few in the beginning, so it's like they were narrowing it down pretty quickly. So I need to get caught up on that. There was also Hyde Street number 12, and stupid me, I didn't read it yet, and so that was all I probably would have read, because there's Phantom of the Opera. See, what number was it? I'm not sure what number that was. I didn't like the first issue. I didn't love the first issue, let's just say that. And so I didn't keep up with that. I'm still kind of curious, so maybe someday. And I don't know if there's anything. I don't think there's anything from Dynamite. Let's just go to Marvel, because I didn't read anything there. At Marvel, we had The Amazing Spider-Man Spider-Versity number 2. I don't remember. I don't know if I talked about the first one, because I think I forgot to read it, and then I was going to read it the next week, and I don't remember if I remember to talk about it. So Spider-Versity, I'm intrigued with this. So basically, it's Norman Osborn. It's kind of spilling out from Amazing Spider-Man, because when Norman was posing as Spider-Man, when Spider-Man was across the universe or whatever, he had a run-in with all the Spider people, because they're like, you can't be posing as Spider-Man. It's like, man, just back off. So basically what's happening here is Norman's like, okay, I'm still trying to atone for all the horrible things I did. What I want to do is train or help all of you to be better. I want you to be able to stop someone like me, or stop me, period, if I turn evil. And they're kind of like, okay, I think he kind of talked to, he sold Miles Morales on it first. Then you bring in Spider-Gwen. Then you got Spider-Boy and Spider-Girl. Why is Spider-Girl there? I do not understand. It really bothers me that Spider-Girl is there because they're like name dropping Peter. I don't know if they're saying Peter Parker, but they're referring to him as Peter. So I don't remember her knowing his secret identity. And it's just so stupid where everyone knew Spider-Man's secret identity, and then they go through this whole big hassle to, oh no, we got to erase everyone's memory, sacrifice the marriage of Mephisto, or talk to Doctor Strange and have him erase people's. I mean, I don't even know. I don't even remember how did they undo the Mephisto thing, but they're still not married. I don't. So all these, everyone forgot Spider-Man's secret identity, but then it's like more and more people are finding out. It's like too many people are finding out. It's just kind of ridiculous. So basically, Norman, I forget. I think it's at, I don't know if it's at ESU, whatever, Empire State University. He, since he donates so much money, he has a building, he has a wing that they can just practice in, and he's like modified things, and he wants to help train them there. But then who comes in to get all hoity-toity attitude? Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew, and she's like, I'll squash you, I'll end you, Norman, if just you try to hurt them or anything like that. And I can appreciate that. And I always thought that, yeah, Jessica Drew, she's tough. She was a Hydra, she was Shield, she was whatever. But it's like Norman Osborn's not nothing. So could she take on Norman Osborn? Probably. Because Green Goblin is a Green Goblin, but Norman Osborn, he's got all that strength and cunningness and playing dirty, but whatever. So he's like, no, I'm doing. So basically, this is what it is. It's like them training, and Norman's like, and there's dorm rooms if you want them, and stuff like that. And the second issue is, again, it's just why Spider-Girl there. I don't think she belongs. Then we have Doom Quest #1. This is by Ryan North. So I'm like, great, Ryan North. I like his writing. But as I read this, I'm like, what the heck is going on? There's nothing at the beginning. It's not like, unless I missed it, but there's nothing like years ago or whatever, it's like that. We get some backstory on Doctor Doom and stuff like that. But then it's like he's sitting at his throne. It's like, wait, he's gone. And there's there's that kid. Is that like a clone of Doctor Doom? Like what? He's not grown up, and they're not going to do like a Kristoff thing and put a little kid in a big suit of armor, because I never understood how John Byrne made that work, because it was just the proportions weren't right, and so it's whatever. So I guess this is a story in the past, and it's just weird because it's like Doctor Doom trying to fix history, fix time trying to make this like Uber time machine, and and like once he's getting close, then it's like, oh no, all the heroes need to go to Latveria, need to invade Latveria to stop Doctor Doom from doing this. And there's like, I should have paid more attention to like, I don't think there's any hints. It's like, oh, different costumes, but there's like everyone. I think like Spider-Man was there, and Avengers were there, and Fantastic Four, and X-Men. Is kind of ridiculous. It's an interesting story, but it just bothers me because I don't know where this fits, and I just feel like that we've had so much Doctor Doom stuff. I'm just so tired of Doctor Doom. I always liked Doctor Doom as a villain, but just Emperor Doom or whatever, One Hand Under whatever it was called, and then Doom Quest, and then it's just so much. Generation X-23 #4. I'm enjoying this because it's Laura and Gabby. I don't like this other group that they're dealing with, and that this guy, is his name Infinity or something like that? Stupid name, very conceited name. I don't know. If you're gonna call yourself like Infinity, that seems like a pretty. It's not a cool name, I don't think, but it would be more. It's kind of like epic. It's kind of like big impact. Because Infinity is like such a huge concept. I just don't like this guy. So a bunch of they're the other. So basically, I should back up. I don't remember if I've talked about this, but Laura and X-23, or Laura and Gabby, they find out that there's facilities working on other kids, and they're staying at the facility on their own. The grown-ups are gone, but then a bunch of kids get kidnapped, including Gabby. So Laura and this Infinity guy have to go try to track them down and stuff. And yeah, so there's some cool things I like, but there's some stuff that I don't really like, but I'm sure it's going to end up cool. Infernal Hulk #7. Oh man, I don't like this comic. I don't care about. This isn't the Hulk. So the Hulk has been separated. Banner has been separated from the Hulk. This demon entity, whatever thing, has been around forever. It's taking control of the Hulk. It's trying to call upon like all these monstrous figures, or characters. It visits the X-Men, and it's going to claim someone as one of his disciples or whatever. And you still have the Avengers are what are we going to do? How are we going to stop this? And yeah, I'm just not loving it. Planet of the Apes versus Fantastic Four #4. So this is the end. This was fun. It wasn't extremely epic or anything, but it was weird and cheesy, and I had there's some good moments. The fact that we got Doctor Doom, of course, we got Doctor Doom in here, right? We got Doctor Doom and Red Ghost. Red Ghost, I don't care for Red Ghost, but the fact that he has the super apes, that's what they're called, right? That kind of makes sense. So it was kind of interesting. We should get that as a movie, right? Psylocke Ninja #5. I was going to read this, and I was like, oh, wait, no. This is a flashback comic. This is supposed to be after Betsy Braddock was body switched with Quanon, and so now she's, after she was with the Hand or whatever, now she's trying to break free of that. And I think what happens here is Jubilee gets kidnapped by the Hand or something like that. And there's this this one page where there's a ninja crawling or scaling a wall, holding on to Jubilee by the scruff of her jacket. It's just, I don't know, it just really took me out of the count. I'm like, no. Sentry #3. I didn't read #2. I'm pretty sure I didn't read #2. I just, because when I read the first issue, I was like, wow, this feels very much like a Sentry comic. Great. But I didn't really love the Sentry comics, even though I like Paul Jenkins' writing. It's just, yeah, I just couldn't get into it. I think I was never a Sentry fan because he was so overpowered, and yeah, so I don't, and I'm not really sure where this fits in, because parts of it, when I read the first issue, it felt like it was back in the day, but I don't know if that's the case, because I don't know, is Sentry dead? I don't remember if he came back. But I feel like if he was suddenly back, I think people would be a little more concerned. Hey, dude, are you going to be okay? Can you handle this? Is the Void anywhere around? We had Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, Echoes of the Empire #2. This is interesting. They tricked me again. So it starts off where you see someone wanting information, Darth Vader is here or whatever. And then the dude talking to her, he's what's he say? He says, I remember it like it was yesterday, Rey. I was like, whoa. That's not Leia, that's Rey. And then it's oh yeah, because she's got the two little ponytail bump things or whatever. So they did this in the first issue where we see Rey and then it flashes back. So I think it's they're trying to bridge the gap. They're saying, okay, we're in the current continuity where we left off with Rey, but we're still going back and telling stories. I guess it's still before Return of the Jedi, between the Empire, which is weird. I see, this is where it's all confusing. I feel like they're jumping around because I think Han is still captured by Jabba in this flashback story. So Yeah. So it's interesting. There's some stuff. Vader's looking for some like Jedi relic thing. It's like some egg thing, and where he believes it's at. Leia and 3PO and R2 are there doing some Rebel Alliance stuff. I don't remember if they're looking for Han or not, but it's like Princess, Lord Vader, Darth Vader is here. So, bad timing. The Ultimates number 24. Yes, this is fine. It's basically like She-Hulk and Wasp versus Evil Hulk. And yeah, so I guess I don't know if next issue the last issue. The Maker is gonna. What's the Maker gonna do? It's like he's been locked up for I don't even know how long it's been in his time. It's been like 2 years for everyone else. I don't know. And again, it just bothers you. The fact you're saying yes, we're ending all the lines here. Why should I care? Because it's gonna be over. There was Wiccan and Hulkling Raid of Ultron number 1. I didn't read that. There was Wonder Man number 3. This is weird because it's Jerry Duggan, and I think he's hilarious. I love his writing, but there's something that's off about it for me, and I don't know if it's just too much of Wonder Man and the Hollywood angle. I mean that does kind of make sense after the Wonder Man Disney Plus series, but it feels. I don't know, almost like insulting to Simon. He seems like kind of shallow, and maybe he just is or always was. And then the fact that we got like Spot in here, and he's kind of a goofy character, but yeah, and I'm just not really caring so much for the story. We had X-Men number 30. Oh my gosh, I think this is finally the finale of the Danger Room story. And I think one of the things that really bothers me about the Danger Room story is the fact that this evil group is calling themselves Danger Room. It's so stupid. I don't recall how they came up with, like, who picked that name and how or why they would know that the X-Men had a Danger Room. Maybe it's from, I don't know if it's from the Graymalkin Institute where they figured it out, but it's just, it was fine. It was a good conclusion to the story, but yeah, I wasn't crazy about that story arc. But I guess there's things to be learned here from the characters and all that, so that was fine. Over at, oh man, okay, I thought I read like everything that I would read. I realized I did not read Absolute Wonder Woman. I was like, I kind of saving that for the end, but I didn't read that. I did read Batman 163, which is like so weird because we're already in the next volume of Batman with the Matt Fraction Batman, but this is still going on. And I don't even, I know I skipped some issues, so I don't even really know what's happening with this. But then this ends, end of part 1. And then it's like, next, Hush 2. I was like, wait, I thought this was Hush 2. What are you talking about? And just stuff, I don't even know what's happening. Yeah, so it's a bummer for me. We also had Superman number 38. So this is Joshua Williamson, Dan Moore. I don't know how what book is Dan? Is Dan Moore just doing this? I feel like he does, because isn't he also doing Justice League Unlimited? Is Dan Moore a robot? How many books is he doing? I don't know, and I don't know if he's just doing like breakdowns or pencils, and yeah, I don't know. But with Superman, so this is Superman Prime, Superboy Prime, whatever, Prime Time. I was never like a Superboy Prime fan because one, he's too powerful, he's too angry, whatever. But it's kind of fun seeing him trying to sort of redeem himself, and I almost feel like it's a little too much, kind of like Deadpool or Gwenpool, where he has knowledge, he knows about, he's in a comic universe type of thing. So that gives him an edge where he knows like a lot. And he's trying to do the right thing. He's trying to establish himself as a hero. He's working at a comic shop, which is a little cliche meta or whatever, but it's fun. I'm enjoying it surprisingly because, like I said, I don't never cared for the character, but it is something different because sometimes, as much as I love Superman, sometimes those stories get a little redundant. So it's fun this way. Justice League Unlimited. I was going to read this. I didn't get to it. I forget what the cover says. Revenge of Brainiac Queen. I was like, I don't feel like reading that now. I got to start recording. I'll try to read it later. Then Detective Comics. So it was weird reading Detective Comics. It's weird because we have Batman, Matt Fraction Batman. We have Detective Comics. I almost feel like, unfortunately, they feel like two separate books. They're both good, but they feel like so separate, like not even the same. And then throwing in Batman Hush is, I don't even ask me what's going on there. But with Detective Comics, I kind of like, it's kind of interesting seeing like Green Arrow and Black Canary kind of hanging out with Batman, in Gotham or whatever. This was interesting because there's like this kid that is basically like kind of kicking everyone's butt, and it's like what's going on? Who is this kid, and what's happening? And because I think at first there was a flashback story, so there was a flashback at the beginning with this other character, and maybe I shouldn't say the name. I don't know. I'm trying to remember if that was like someone that we saw before, but there's a connection with what's happening in the present, and so I'm kind of intrigued with what's happening and seeing. Yeah, it's like what's the overall picture? Because I don't know if they ever knew the full story of this other character. Maybe, I don't know, but I'm intrigued by that. Then there was Green Lantern 35. I didn't read that because I just haven't been. I'm on a Green Lantern break. Someday I'll get started because, speaking of breaks, I was looking at the Flash 33. I was like, I haven't read Flash in probably like 30 issues. It's been a while, no, maybe less than that. I think I was like maybe up to 5 or 6 or 7. I don't know. But it's like, I was like, oh, wait, Ryan North is writing. What could Ryan North bring to the Flash? And I read it. I enjoyed this book. It made me so happy to be reading a Wally West, to be reading a Flash story. I miss Barry Allen. I don't even know what's going on with Barry Allen now. I can't keep track of all the stuff that happened in Justice League or whatever. And I don't care for I-Ray and Jay so much, but whatever. And then I don't even know what the other kid's name is. I don't even know if it's a boy or a girl. But whatever, I can accept them. So we have Wally trying to save the city because there's like a threat of a nuclear bomb going off. He's basically zipping all over it. He cannot find this bomb anywhere, and all his loved ones are going to be there. And as he's doing this, he's got his self-dialogue going on and everything, and he's kind of being goofy and, like ADD or something like that. And at some points, it's like, I almost feel like he regressed a little too much. And I don't know how many issues Ryan North has been writing, if maybe he's just trying to find the right beat for Wally. But it was fun. And, he had Captain Cold in here too. And just the interaction between those two. I enjoyed this book. So that made me happy that maybe I can start reading The Flash again. Because it's same with like Absolute Flash. I wanted to read that, but I couldn't. And someday I hope to, but we'll see. Then that was all I read. There was Zatanna number. See, how is it only number 2? Because I think I said that after last week. I was like, I'm not reading Zatanna. I was like, wait, this is issue 1. So, of course, I'm not reading it. So I'm curious about that. I don't know about that. Jamal Campbell's working on it. Then there is Superman Father of Tomorrow. What number is this? Is this number 1? I didn't know anything about this, but apparently it's Jor-El came to Earth instead of Superman. So something happened on Krypton, and I guess Superman and Lara didn't make it. They died before the ship could be launched, so Jor-El goes. And then I guess he lands in Kansas. I don't know. No idea. Yeah, whatever. Do we need that? Hopefully it's interesting. I don't know. Then there's Swamp Thing 1989. There's Harley Quinn. And that was it. So that's all I read. That's a bunch of what I didn't read. That is comic books for the week. Then we have Spider-Noir. I almost feel like it needs... I'm so used to like shows having all these, like Star Wars, Maul, Shadow Lord, or Monarch, Legacy of Monsters, having these like Daredevil, Born Again. It's like it seems like all these shows have these super long titles or multiple titles, whatever. This, as far as I know, is just Spider-Noir. Now, I mentioned at the beginning that yes, all episodes are out. And again, I find that annoying because I cannot watch all of them. And then I feel like I'm like just being too slow, or if as I cover them, people are not going to care because they've already watched all the issues, or they've already watched all the episodes and have moved on. I don't know if there's any other shows coming out soon. I know My Adventures of Superman is coming out. I think it's like June 12th or June something, second week. If there's nothing else, like what I can try to do, no promises at all, but maybe like for next week's episode, I can try to do like episodes 2 and 3. I'm only covering episode 1 today. I don't know if I said that. We're only going to talk about the first episode, and then I'll try to catch up, and we'll see. Now, what's interesting about this, apart from Nicolas Cage being in this, is when you watch this, you have the option of watching it in color or black and white. And I don't know if they kind of use some fancy names or whatever for that. What's interesting about it is there is an option where, depending on where or how you're watching it, I guess, but there's an option where you can like kind of sort of easily click back and forth between color and black and white. Every time you start it, because I'm not able to watch this in one sitting, but when I started, then it's like it asks you, do you want to watch it in color and black and white? Do you want to watch it color? And it's a little annoying, but whatever. I can appreciate that. And I'm glad that they offer you, because for some reason I was thinking it's like, oh, they're going to drop all the episodes in colors, and then maybe the next week or something or whatever, then they'll trickle them out in black and white. And I was like, that's going to be kind of annoying. But so I appreciate that they're right up front giving you the choice of color, black and white, instead of like trying to drag that out. So you can just however you want to watch it. To me, I believe the only way you should be watching this is in black and white. To me, it seems like an atrocity. It seems sacrilege or whatever you want to call it. To watch this in color just seems so wrong. But I'm just like, okay, I'll give it a shot. Because when you first start watching, or when I first started watching in black and white, and when the opening scene, whatever narration, you see, Ben Reilly. I haven't mentioned that. I've mentioned it in covering in the news. This is not Peter Parker. This is Ben Reilly, and I'm assuming they're doing this so it's not confusing with Tom Holland, Peter Parker, because some people might be like, wait, what? Or whatever. I don't know if that's ever, I don't think that's never been established in the comics. Like 99% sure that's not the case. Whatever, they're going with Ben Reilly. Another way is this a redemption for Ben Reilly? Or is this another way where we're saying, screw you, Ben Reilly, you're not Spider-Man, you're Nicolas Cage now. Which, is that a bad thing or is that a good thing? I guess it depends on who you ask. So, as it starts off, which I'll get into in a second, I was kind of flipping back and forth because when you first watch in black and white, some of the swinging animations looks a little questionable. It's not bad at all, but it seemed a little weird. So I was like, well, how's this look in color? So I switch it, and I was like, ooh, it didn't feel right to me. And I watched them. I probably watched like 99.8% of this in black and white. I switched it a couple times just to, I wonder how this would look. And it just didn't seem right. Now, I don't know how it was originally filmed. I thought I saw someone's like, oh, this was filmed in black and white. I don't know if that's the case. But, I hope it's not just a matter of trying to turn it in color. Because like from what I learned, whatever, I don't know why I'm talking about this, but with Godzilla -1, what they talked about when they did Godzilla -1 minus color, they actually like reshaded, did different, or corrected things. They didn't just want to like remove the color. They wanted to change like the lighting or shadowing, whatever, to make it work better. So I don't know what the deal is here. As far as the show, it's interesting. It's fun. I'll definitely going to watch the rest. It's a little different. There's a couple things I'm like, So let's just get into it, and we'll see. Go from there. So episode 1, Step Into My Office. So he starts off. He's narrating while swinging, and again, Ben Reilly. He's saying, "Someone once asked me what universe this was. A strange question that stuck with me all these years later. All I can say for sure was it's the only one I knew of, and that was as true then as it is now." So we're kind of left with that. What does that mean? Who would have asked him that? And does it have anything to do with Spider-Verse or whatever? But we have that. So he swings by like a newspaper stand. The headlines like Prohibition continues, Silvermane profits. So I can appreciate the little details they get, like just something like that. That's like, okay, we're into Prohibition. We got Silvermane. So they're establishing like other characters. So every time you see a little thing, I'm like, does this mean something else? And sometimes it does. So he continues like, am I an extraordinary man? Yes. Am I an ordinary man? Yes, I'm both. I'm neither, but aren't we all? So there's some nice first-person shots, like where you see him spinning the webs, and then he continues like, New York City, I grew up in the city. I learned to fight in the city, and I fell in love in the city. So we see some flashbacks as he's like swinging or going up a building. They're kind of like projected on the windows of the building, which is kind of neat. So we were saying there's some backstory here. And he fell in love with the city, and he's like, a mistake I'll never make again. So then it's nighttime, and he's like, I used to be the Spider, the city's hero, always on guard, always ready to swoop in and save the day. So there's shots of him fighting like in a room full of like gun-toting thugs. He's like punching, kicking, flipping, smashing their face in the glass, all that stuff. He's like, that ended when Ruby died. So it's like, who's Ruby? So then we see them like slow dancing. He's like, we were going to be married in the spring. I even bought a ring to make it official. A ring I never had a chance to give her. So then there's like a shot of her grave, and the spider sets a ring on top of the tombstone, which I hate when they do stuff like that. It's like someone's going to walk by and they're like, oh, a ring, yoink. So he puts it on top of the tombstone. He takes his mask off, and he's like, Ruby once told me that with great power comes great responsibility. Which is like weird that it's like his fiance or almost fiance, whatever, girlfriend said it, whatever. He's like, well, she was the greatest responsibility I ever had, and I failed her. The spider failed her. So he takes his mask, he puts like in this little suitcase or like briefcase. He's like, after that, I didn't want the power or the responsibility. So he makes a hole in the wall, he puts the briefcase inside, and he like covers it up. He's like, so I went back to being an ordinary man. That was 5 years ago. And then we get the intro. So basically, he quit. Spider-Man no more type of thing. So he sits in a smoky bar having a drink. He has a photo of this guy like in the army or something like that. He's watching some guy sitting in a booth like across the bar. So he asks this lady next to him like, what do you think? And she's like, I think you got a bingo. Then she tells Ben that he's kind of handsome or something like that. And Ben's like, well, now I'm questioning your eyesight. And she's like, oh, you're funny too. And she's like, you got a wife? And he's like, no. And she's like, oh, it's a shame. She's like, I got a husband. Not that it's ever stopped me from having a good time. So blah, blah, blah. They talk some more. Then the dude that he's watching gets up. So Ben starts following him. He hands the lady a card, B. Riley Investigations. So he's a private eye now. Ben runs out into the sidewalk, and this busboy calls after him because he left his hat. So he puts it on. And then he turns, and the guy that he was going to follow turns around. He's like, you keep following me, it won't end the way you want it to. And Ben's like, it never does. So the guy runs. He's like, Addison. So he chases him. Then his car door opens. The car opens its door, and Ben, bam, slams into it. So it's like, okay, no spider sense, right? Addison comes back to see Ben lying on the ground. The driver stopped. He got out to see. He's like, sorry, pal. Then he looks at Addison. He's like, don't do it, Addison. So it's like, wait, this wasn't an accident. And he knows this guy, Addison, who Ben was chasing. So he tells him, not to do it. He's like, I'm liable to shoot you as I am to give chase. Addison starts running, and the dude curses, gets back in his car. Ben is still lying on the ground. He's like just knocked out. Some lady's like, is he dead? People like crowd around him. They're like looking down. He wakes with a gasp, and they're like, oh, they exclaim. And he gets up, and they're like, oh, you should, you shouldn't do that. And he's like, which way did they go? So they point, he runs. They end up at the Standard Oil Company, and you can hear he can hear muffled, distorted voice. At first, I was like, was it from getting knocked out, or what's happening here? Then he can hear the guy from the car. He sneaks up with his gun out, and the guy's like, it's not my fault you ripped off the wrong people, Addison. Now, come on, let's go. It's getting late, and it smells like poop back here. So the guy's like, I tried to warn you. The guy in the car is like, what? So Addison, whoosh, he creates some flame. His hand's on fire. And he's like, and now you're going to burn. Whoosh. Flames go up in his other hand. And then they start going up his arms. His arms light up, and his entire torso. The dude starts shooting at him. Addison feels it. He feels the shots, and he falls back. So it's like, dude, what was the point of all that? He has a gun, right? I think. So the flame spreads to patches of oil on the ground, and it's heading for this big oil tank. Ben ducks behind the car. The dude gets thrown back and slams into a wall from the explosion. So Ben goes and starts dragging the dude. He takes the guy's wallet, and he's like, there's $3 in there. He flips through the photos, and then he sees a card for Patrick Donegal, Private Investigations. He's like, okay. So the dude suddenly starts to wake up. He exclaims, he's like, that man was completely on fire. I've never seen such a thing. Should have known it was fishy when they offered me $50 to track down a nobody. So Ben's like, who hired you? A guy named Winston? And Donegal's like, yeah. And then Ben's like, bastard only charged me $30. He's like, I need a drink. You? And Donegal's like, sure, nothing too fancy. All I got is, and Ben's like, $3. Tosses his wallet back to him. So Ben says that he knows a joint. He might even have a girl for him if he likes train wrecks. And Donegal's says that he must because he keeps marrying them. So to get into his car. Then later, Ben walks into his office and says good morning to his secretary, Janet. She says it was, but now it's a mediocre afternoon, headed towards a lousy evening. So she offers him coffee, and he asks if she has anything harder. So she says that she keeps asking that to her husband. Ben asks if there's any calls, and she's like, well, to get calls, you have to pay Ma Bell. She's like, right now, your phone is just a paperweight. So she asks how to go with Addison. He chugs a drink that she poured, and she's like, oh, wow, that well, huh? And he's like, Addison's dead. And she's like, he's like, no, some other guy. He's like, this GD City. So then the door bangs open. Guy's like, you open? And Ben's like, no. And Janet's like, yes. The guy's like, I tried calling, but it wouldn't go through. And Janet's like, Mr. Riley believes that business is better conducted face-to-face. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. He's like, Carmody. And she points him to Ben's office. Carmody says that it's about his wife, and he hands a photo to Ben. Ben is kind of surprised. He stares at the photo, and Carmody, he's looking back and forth. Carmody is kind of like a schlup. She's all dolled up and everything. And Ben's like, you're a rich man, Mr. Carmody? And the guy's like, no, not particularly. Ben says, possessed of a keen wit then? And the guy's like, huh? So he shows a picture of Janet, and she's surprised too. So Carmody says that he heard his wife on the phone. She's going to meet some so-and-so at 8 p.m. tonight. He's like, I even have the address. So Ben says, well, I love a client who comes prepared. So he says his rate is $10 a day plus, and Carmody cuts him off. He's like, but you'll get pictures, right? Because without pictures, it's basically just a he said, she said situation. So Janet says that she's sure his suspicions are unfounded, but if it comes to it, Ben's an ace photographer. Then we see Robbie Robertson meets Ben at a diner. And he says he was chasing a story. Some other mobster is finally making a move on Silvermane, burned down his mansion a couple nights ago, killed some of his men, I forget how many, and somehow the old bastard escaped. So Robbie sees a photo of Carmody's wife. He's like, oh, is another cheating spouse? He's like, thought you weren't going to take those anymore. Ben, puts the picture in his pocket. He says that he hasn't paid Janet in months, so beggars can't be choosers. Robbie's like, says the man who chose to be a beggar. And Ben's like, not today, Robbie, okay? So Robbie's like, have you seen out there? The city's a mess. Ever since the spider disappeared, Silvermane's got the city by the throat, crime is out of control, and the police are completely in his pocket. It's like the people could use a hero. And Ben's like, well, I hope they find someone. He's like, you used to be, and he's like, I know who I used to be, and I know who I am now. There's always going to be another Silvermane, Robbie. There's just no point in fighting it. I can't help but wonder what Ruby would think if she heard you talking like that. And it seemed like kind of a low blow. So Ben has a flashback. Ruby's behind the wheel of a car that's like underwater. And then I think she sees like the spider reaching out in a mirror. So something's happening. So basically, she must have driven or forced off a dock, a pier, I'm assuming. She's in the water, and the spider couldn't save her. So now that's why he quit. So then Ben's like, Ruby's been dead a long time. I don't care what she'd think anymore. So he drinks his coffee and like switches to outside. You see a worker putting up a re-elect Mayor Alfred Morris poster. So at first I was like, does that matter? It does, sort of. Ben sees a shoe shine boy named Frankie. He says that he'd been working. Frankie says he's been working on his pocket picking. So Ben, like, I think he gives him like some change, and then Frankie puts a coin in the telephone, and but then it's attached to string, so he pulls it out somehow. Because I would think there'd be like some locking mechanism, but he's like, I don't know if Ben's giving him the money and then Frankie just pockets it and with his fake coin or whatever. Ben calls Donegal, says they should talk about last night. They meet at a bar. Ben says that they left a man dead last night, so it feels like there could be some trouble down the tracks or an opportunity worth pursuing. Either way, he thinks that they should know more about who hired them and why they wanted him like so bad. Donegal asks if he has a plan, and Ben's like, kinda. He asks if he can be sober by 9 a.m. tomorrow. And Donegal's kind of like hanging out with that late married lady. So later, Ben buys a newspaper. It says Silvermane survives mansion fire. He reads the paper and reads like Robbie's story about Silvermane having a chokehold on the city. One brave person tried to end his terror by setting his place on fire but failed. So things will probably get bloody because, Silvermane's going to be mad now. He's like, if only the spider were here to save them from this madness. And Ben says to himself, he's like, damn, Robbie. He's like, give it a rest, would you? So he's sitting outside the Redcliffe. I'm assuming it's Redcliffe Apartments. I don't think it was a hotel. But then it changes the night. He's still like holding the paper. I don't know if he's still reading it or pretending he's reading it. He sees a car pull up, and then Carmody's wife, the woman from the photo, gets out. Ben snaps a picture. Inside, she just walks right past the doorman, and the dude asks Ben, he's like, how can I help you? Obviously, he knew this woman. He doesn't know Ben. Ben says that he's got a delivery for Boris Karloff, and doorman's like, Karloff doesn't live here. Just as the lady, the wife, is getting into the elevator. So Ben's like looking over. He's like, well, he might be listed under a stage name. Stein. Frank N. Stein. Ben's like looking at the elevator to see like what floor it's headed to. The doorman stands up, kind of like protests that, Frankenstein, whatever. Then Ben sees the elevator goes to the penthouse. So he tells the doorman, he's like, oh, don't bother. He's like, I'll see myself out. Outside, he looks up the building to see where the penthouse, how far it is up there. He sighs. He takes a long way up. He goes up the fire escape. And as he's walking up, he's passing by all these windows and there's people inside. And then he like stops. He takes a picture of this dude. I don't know. I think he was putting on a bunch of like Band-Aids on his body. So I don't know what that was about. He makes it to the penthouse. He has to like climb over the balcony, and he's grunting as he climbs up. So it's like, does he not have like spider strength or whatever? So he hears a man chuckling inside. There's like indistinct conversation. There's like some kind of sheer drapes over the balcony doors, so you can't really see too clearly through the curtains. He actually starts to turn like the doorknob, and then he can see the woman talking to a dude, but his back is turned to Ben, so Ben can't see his face. He takes a picture, and then she starts to tell the dude to stop. And he's like, give me something. And then she's like, get off me. And then he's like, come here. And he gives her a kiss, and she like slugs him. And he raises his hand to hit her back, but then whoosh, webs like hit his hand and stops his hand from connecting, and it's like stuck to the doorknob. So like when he kind of pulls on it, it closes the balcony door. So she like moves away, breaks free, whatever. The dude goes up to the balcony and he looks down. He doesn't see anyone. At Ben's office the next day, this guy Winston, who they mentioned, he's waiting for Ben. Ben asks if he wants coffee or tea, and dude's like, "Save your breath." He's like, "You told me you know where Addison is, so take your money and talk." And Ben's like, "Actually, the price has gone up." And Winston's like, "Excuse me?" He's like, "The other PI you hired told me you offered him 50, so I'm not telling you for a penny less than 200. And the guy's like, "Cute, but give me one good reason I shouldn't plug you." And he's got a gun, whoosh, pulls out a pistol. Ben's like, "How about 30 reasons?" And then you hear it, chick, chick. A gun cocks behind Winston. It's Janet. She's like, "It's actually a 32, but I doubt your organs will know the difference." And so it's like pointed right at the back of his head. Ben's like, "Now, a guy like you in a suit like that, you didn't cook this up on your own, so why don't you," I'm trying to do a Nicolas Cage impression, I don't know why I'm starting now. "So why don't you go back to whoever it is that sent you and find me $200, and then I'll tell you where Addison is, and I'll keep the 30 as a tip." And the guy's like, "Cute, real cute." So Winston walks out, gets into his car. Donegal's sitting in a parked car like a couple cars behind. He follows him. They end up at like Silvermane's semi-burnt mansion. Silvermane's is inside like the sort of wreckage with some goons. And he's like, "Funny, guy burns down my house, tries to kill me, makes me feel young again." And then he's like, "Did Riley tell you where Addison is?" And Ben's like listening. I don't know how he got there so quickly. So the guy's like, "A shakedown. He won't tell me where Addison is unless we get more cash." And Silvermane's like, "Pay him whatever he wants." And he's like, "The boys are convinced Addison's got some kind of powers. If he does, I want to talk to him." So then I was like, wait, so Addison must have burnt the apartment, right? Because that was, at first I thought, it was like, wait, was that last night? But no, Robbie said it was a couple nights ago. So he's like, "Do whatever it takes, find Addison." Outside, Donegal and Ben are walking down away from the mansion. Donegal's excited. Ben says that he's like, "I have a habit of stepping into a steaming pile of dog poop." Donegal says that Byrne, so I guess that's Silvermane, he has deep pockets. He's like, "Shake down." Ben's like, "Shake down, Silvermane. It's an idea. Thing is, I got this crazy preference for being alive. You do what you want. I'm leaving this one alone." And then Donegal calls him a coward. He's like, "Fortune favors the bold." And Ben's like, "And yet I'm still here," or something like that. Ben enters his office. Janet is developing the pictures in the bathroom. So she comments on his photos because there's like to do with the Band-Aids. And he's like, "Well, you couldn't help it," or something like that. And then she says that she has one question. She's like, "Is this the GD mayor of New York?" So Ben looks at the magnifying glass, and the dude with his wife, his face can be seen in the mirror behind her. So then outside, a truck drives by with speakers playing like the mayor's re-election promises. So Ben meets with Carmody, and he's like, so this was supposed to be the dude that hired him. He's like, "You sure she didn't meet up with anybody?" And Ben's like I said, your wife, she was alone all night." And he's like, "What about the APM, the Red Cliff? What was that all about?" And Ben's like, "The great news is," and he's like, "No, I know, he's like, I get it. Marriage can be a terrifying endeavor. Opening yourself up to another person like that, making yourself vulnerable. I don't even feel good about taking your money. Go home, Carmody. You have a beautiful and loyal wife. You know how loyal she is? You're a very lucky man." So he's like trying to like rush him out of the office, like put his coat on and everything. He's like, "Now go home." And Janet says that they needed that money. Not sure if he's aware, but there's a depression going on. Ben's like, "I'm aware, but whatever that was," he's like, "I want nothing to do with it." And she's like, well, she asks, who does he think he was? And Ben's like, "I don't know, maybe someone trying to smear the mayor." And she says, "That woman, if she's not Mrs. Carmody, then who the heck is she?" Ben says that the only thing he can be certain of is that she's not married to that guy. Then he touches the back of his head in pain, like there's muffled pulsing and warbling. She asks if it's another headache. She's like, "That sixth sense thing?" She's like, if it is, you should listen to it. It's never steered you wrong. Ben says that he'd love to. Trouble is, he's not currently sure what it's trying to tell him. And she's like, hang on, I can hear it. It's saying, pay your secretary, except you can't, because you just gave away the only money we've made all month. He says that she's at the top of his list, and she says that he'd better do something about it soon. She just interviewed for a sales position at Gimbel's. Her husband has this annoying habit of wanting to eat food every day. So then she says, what about selling the photographs to the woman? If he wants to steer clear of the mayor, that's fine, but maybe there's some money, some cash to be had. He's like, blackmail, huh? That's not a terrible idea. It's not a good idea, but it's not a terrible idea. Then Ben meets with Robbie at a hospital, and he asks Robbie if there's any chance he knows who the woman is. He has a picture, and he's like, you must be joking. He's like, oh, that's Kat Hardy. It's like, back in the day, you wouldn't have had to ask. So this guy tells Robbie, they go in this room. He's like, drawer 3, got 5 minutes. So they're in the morgue. Ben's like, what's up? And Robbie says that a body was brought in the other day. Friend said something was off with it, so he figures there might be a story. And Ben asks, where could he find Kat Hardy? And Robbie says that she's a star attraction over at the alcove. Robbie, he's like, you might want to turn away. He pulls a sheet off the body. And he's like, say, does this look like a guy who died in a fire to you? So it's Addison, because he only has 3 bullet holes. And Ben's like, no, but he sure as hell did. I was there. So Robbie's surprised. He's like, and? He's like, they ID him yet? So he looks at the toe tag, James Addison. And Ben's like, poop. So if they know, the cops will know, and then Silvermane will know, because the cops are on his payroll. So then Silvermane will know that Donegal is trying to rip him off. It's like, do me a favor, hold off on printing that. I want to warn a friend before he gets himself killed. So if Donegal tries getting money out of Silvermane, they're going to know that he's lying. And then Ben's head starts to hurt, and Robbie gives him a look, and he's like, what? It's just a migraine. So there's a flashback to Addison. Ben groans, and Robbie's like, what's going on, Ben? Did this guy have superpowers? Is he like you? Ben's like, forget about it, Robbie. He's dead. So Ben tries tracking down Donegal. He goes the bar, tells the bartender if he sees him, tell him to meet him at the alcove at 9 p.m., tell him it's important. Ben heads over there. He orders a drink. Kat starts singing on stage, and he turns. You just see her shadowy form first, and then the lights shift, and you can see her. So she has his full attention now. She's singing I think it's just Dream a Little Dream of Me. I don't know if it's a mix of something else or it's just that song. And then I think he sees Winston walk by, goes to the table where Silvermane is. Then the song's over. Ben ducks into a phone booth to hide, because Silvermane and them, they get up. Then Ben curses. He wonders where Donegal is. In a back room, guess what? Donegal is tied to a chair. He's been beat up by, I think the guy's name is Pudge or something like that. So Silvermane, he says, wake him up. And dude's like, well, that won't be easy. He's dead. So Silvermane, I don't know, he had a long blade. I don't think he has a cane with a blade in it, but maybe. I guess I didn't notice if he has a cane or not. So he takes something long, skinny blade. He jabs into Donegal's hand, and then he whimpers and he wakes up. Silvermane gets close. He says, I'm not interested in revenge or retribution. So, he's going to make this quick. Donegal starts crying. He's like, there's nothing to cry about. He just wants to hear where Addison is. And he's like, I shot him dead. He had some kind of crazy powers. He burst into flames. And he's like, and what about the name of the man who hired Addison to kill me? And Donegal's like, I don't know. He's like, fair enough. Whoosh! Slashes his throat. He's like, it's over. It's done. Donegal chokes and he dies. Silvermane starts walking out. He tells him, he's like, go to the morgue and make sure Addison is really dead, and bring me the other private dick. Winston's like, Riley? He don't know any more than this guy. He's like, then he's got nothing to worry about, does he? Ben goes up to Kat at a table. He's like, do you mind? And he lights a cigarette. He's like, do you mind? Asks if he sit. He says that he loved her performance. She's like, thanks, doll. And he asks if there's somewhere that they can talk. She's like, this suits me. He's like, well, it's business. And she's like, I wasn't aware that we had any. He says it concerns her trip to the Red Cliff last night. So she's like, she calls the guy Flint. So right away, it's like, Flint. How many Flints do you know in Spider-Man comics? So she calls Flint over, and he grabs Ben like roughly, and Ben says that he's trying to help her, and she's like, Mr. Riley, I'd like you to meet my friend Flint Marco. So it's him. And then Ben's like, a gorilla, and then to Flint he's like, do you mind? And he like then he slaps on the photo on the table. I thought you might find that useful. And Flint's like, everything okay, Miss Hardy? She's like, yes, Mr. Riley's a very nice man, but he was just about to leave. And Ben's like, who told you that? And she's like, that you were leaving? That I'm nice? And she's like, just a hunch. Maybe you can confirm it by leaving without messing up Flint's tie. He really struggles with a double Windsor, and I just painted my nails. Sharpen them too, and don't trouble yourself, Flint. I'm happy to make my exit without either of your fists busting my eye sockets. Take another look at that, and perhaps tomorrow we can discuss the price of the negatives over lunch. I might even pay, seeing as I'm such a nice guy. And she's like, I suppose you think you're pretty clever. He's like, no, actually, most days I think I should just stick my head in the oven and get it over with. And she's like, well, what's stopping you? Simple. I'm a coward. So he walks out. The cat looks at Flint, and she gives a little nod. So outside, shoeshine boy Frankie, he's like, you got some spare change for a hungry orphan boy? And he's like, I got a tail, white suit. Sure do, mister. Thanks. So Ben keeps walking, goes down a dark alley. There's a big like crane overhead. It's like some construction area. So he takes like an old so it's like a building under construction. So he takes a little like barely elevator up to like a rooftop sort of. And Flint, he must have taken one too. He walks up behind him, and Ben's just like looking out. Some view up here. You can see the lights all the way from Jersey. Flint's like, I'd like those negatives, please. He's like, cutting right to it, huh? You don't even want to catch your breath? Mister, despite what I do for a living, I really don't enjoy hurting people. Then don't. I know a terrific hamburger joint, open all night. Let's sit, talk it over. I'm like, so, you're not hungry? How about a drink? Last chance. And he's like, opium? Flint, like, punches Ben square in the face. Then he slugs him again, and he, like, falls, on the floor. And he's like, why be stubborn? One way or another, you're going to give me those negatives. It doesn't have to be like this. He's like, you're right. You could stop punching me. But it's like, how does he know he even has the negatives on him? So he takes, Ben to like the edge of the roof. He's like, the negatives or I drop you. And Ben like chuckles. He's like, well, the thing is, I'm not really scared of heights. Flint like growls, throws him like back across the rooftop instead of like off the roof. Ben starts trying to crawl away. And it's like, wait, this guy has spider powers? So he's trying to crawl away. Flint grabs him, throws him through like some wooden beams or whatever. Ben grabs a wrench that's lying there, but then Flint steps on his wrist. Flint cocks his fist back. He's like about to punch him, but then Ben gives him a look. I feel like I'm not saying words properly. Ben gives him a look, and then he slams fist with like. He slams Flint. See, I know I'm not that time. He slams Flint with like a 2x4, from his other hand. And then Flint is kind of dazed. Ben gets up, hits him again, and then jabs him in the gut with the beam, smacks him again. Flint goes down. And then Ben just like drops a 2x4, starts walking away. But Flint starts getting up. He's like grunting. And Ben's like kind of shocked. Flint's like on his hands and knees, and he's like flexing his fists and like moving kind of weird, like kind of shaking. And he like rubs his face, and he looks at Ben. His face is like grainy. And it's like, wait, is it grainy now, or did he like rub something on it? But this is Flint Marco, which, as you probably know, is the Sandman in the comics. So Ben's like staring at him shocked. Flint gets up, grabs Ben by the neck, like pushes him back. Ben hits him. Flint swings back, but Ben ducks. Then his like sandy fist smashes into a metal beam, puts like a dent in it. So he is like the Sandman. His hand like is shifting a little bit more. He swings, Ben ducks and dodges. Flint delivers a blow. Ben flies off the rooftop. He's like knocked off. Flint like watches him fall. Ben's like, he's falling, and then finally he spins a web. Whoosh! Swings, goes up, crashes like through the floor, ends up like on a kind of platform a little bit above, like where Flint was. So it's like, did he just give away secret identity? He doesn't really have one, but Flint charges to knock either knocked down a support beam or he hit something. Ben actually falls off, so it shook the thing enough. He falls flat on his back. He spins 2 webs, whoosh, yanks Flint's legs out from underneath him. He like bam, smashes his face like on a steel beam as he falls. And then it's like, okay, is he out this time? Ben gets to his feet. Flint starts moving. He's not out yet. But then Kat comes running up, and she, goes down to him, puts like his head in her lap. She's like, "Don't hurt him." And Flint's like, "Where am I?" He's like, "What happened?" Ben's like, "What the hell is this?" And she's like, "Just leave us alone, please." And then he's like, "Here's the negatives on the house." He tosses an envelope down to her. So he did have them on him. But that's the thing. If he didn't have them on them, how would they know? How would Flint know that he's not working with someone, that his secretary is going to do something? So the next day, Janet's like, "I can't believe you gave her the negatives, and for free." So she's like starting to pack up a box. And he's like, "Don't you think you're overreacting?" She's like, "No, Ben, this is what reacting looks like. It's a physical response to a stimulus. You just haven't felt it in half a decade." He's like, "That's actually my lamp. My aunt gave it to me," but she still puts it in her box. She's like, "You're afraid of the mob. Sure. You don't want to piss off the mayor? Fine. But a lounge singer? I told you there were extenuating circumstances." And she's like, "I have given you so much room. Airplanes have less runway. But at a certain point, when someone tells you what they are, you have to listen." And then Kat walks in. "And what is he?" And Janet's like, "Retired." So Ben's like, "Kat Hardy, meet my secretary, Janet Ruiz." And she's like, "Ex-secretary, I just quit." And Kat's like, "Shame. I came here to offer him a job. My friend Flint, the one you met last night, he's disappeared." So then Janet's like, $50 retainer up front. Then it's 10 a day plus expenses. And Ben's just like staring at her. Like, why is he staring at her? Is he like suddenly like in love? I don't understand why he's just staring at her like that. And then it's like, I'm looking, it's like, 6 minutes left. This season on Spider-Noir, and we get like a big like trailer. And I was trying not to pay too much attention to it, but so it looks like he will eventually be putting his suit back on, and there's more action. But what I'm afraid of, I feel like they're going to give us like too many villains up front, because it looks like we could get an Electro, and there's like someone else, but it's like, I feel like they shouldn't be just delivering all the villains in the first season, because like if this is Sandman, I mean, I guess we could still see Sandman. He's missing now, but yeah, I think they need to slow down. But whatever. So that's the first episode. It was good. I liked it. I'm still not sure. I'm just not sure about the color black and white. I mean, because in color it looks weird. Nicolas Cage looks a little weird in color, and I don't know. I feel like I don't know if there's makeup on him or what. Yeah, whatever. But next week we'll do episode 2. Hopefully more than just 2. Okay, the first movie feature is Passenger. So Passenger, I'm going to try this once. Passenger is directed by André, I believe you say it, André Øvredal. Øvredal. So it's Norwegian, right? What has he done? He's done Troll Hunter, 2010, Autopsy of Jane Doe. I don't think I've seen that. 2016 supernatural horror film. His first English language film. Stars Brian Cox and Emil Hirsch as father and son coroners who experience supernatural phenomenon while examining the body of an unidentified woman. Huh. So wait, so then was Troll Hunter was 2010 Norwegian dark fantasy film made as a found footage mockumentary. Okay. And then Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Okay, I did see that. I was going to say, I don't think I've seen any of his movies. So Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. So I covered that on the podcast, remember? 2019, based on a children's book series with Guillermo del Toro. Yeah. And then he also did The Last Voyage of Demeter. I've never seen that movie. I don't know anything about it. Wait, this is a 2023 supernatural horror film? I don't know. It's The Last Voyage. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. And I always thought it was, 18. a chapter from the 1897 novel Dracula. So I think that's why I never saw it, because I was like, I don't know about that. So we have this movie, Passenger. Yeah, I can't say I loved it. I wish I could. I was super looking forward to this movie. You may recall, I'm pretty sure it was back when I saw Shelby Oaks. I feel like it was back in November. So I saw this trailer, and I was like, "Whoa, this looks interesting. This looks kind of freaky." And then, I know I've told this story, before. I was trying to find a trailer on YouTube because I wanted to show my buddy. I was like, "Hey, have you heard of this movie?" And I could not find a trailer anywhere. I was like, "How could I not find this trailer?" The movie, I clearly remember it said it was being released by Paramount. I could not find it anywhere. I looked YouTube, I looked online, I could not find anything. I was like, I did not dream this movie or this trailer. In the trailer, so I'm going to just explain what the trailer was. This kind of sets up the movie. Got these two dudes in a car driving at night, and there's actually more to this scene, so it was interesting watching it in the movie. I was kind of worried. It's like, oh, is this just something that's filmed specifically for a trailer or a cut from the movie and you don't really see it? So you got these two guys in a car, and one guy is drinking a lot of water, and he explains he has like dry mouth or whatever. And then the guy, he's the driver. He's like, man, stop drinking so much. He's like, you're gonna have to go to the bathroom. And the guy's like, no. He's like, I'm like a camel. And then later, he's like squirming. He's got to go to the bathroom. So the he's ticked off, pulls over. He's like, you got 2 minutes. Guy gets out, goes off the side of the road next to a tree. He's going, and then like almost like right away, and then the car starts honking his horn, and he's like, give me a minute. He's like, just let me go. And it's like going, and so he finishes. He goes back. He's like, what's going on? And the car door's open. There's no one in there. And the horn is just like stuck on. So he's calling his buddy. He goes inside, and he's like, it's like, dude, where is he? Gives him a call, and this is a little more than what was in the trailer. Gives him a call, like, where are you, dude? Did he go? His phone's in the car. It starts ringing right there. So he's like, what is going on? Oh, because I think. Yeah, all the doors were open in the car. The trunk was open. So he shuts the trunk, shuts the door. He's like, what's going on? So he closes all the door, closes the truck, gets in the car, tries calling his buddy. And then all of a sudden, whoosh, the window breaks. And his buddy's like on the hood of the car. And he's like all bloody. He's like, help me, or something like that. He gets pulled away. The guy's like freaking out. He actually gets out of the car, which is very brave. I think a lot of people are like, okay, your friend gets smashed up against the car, all bloody, gets pulled away. I think he might have gotten pulled up. I think most people would be like, I am out of here. Sorry. Yeah, you're on your own, kid. He goes out there, and then I could be wrong about this. I feel like then the body just drops out from nowhere. So he jumps in the car, takes off. Driving, he's got a big hole in the windshields, driving, it's, back roads, late at night, and then there's someone on the side of the road coming up. He just, no way he's going to stop. He keeps going, and it's like a freaky looking dude. He keeps driving, and then, wait, there's someone else coming up. Looks like the same dude, same creepy dude. He drives, and as he passes him, he's like looking back. He's like, what the? Because it's like the same guy. And then keeps driving. There he is again. And then as he looks, he's going to look at him as he passes by, and then he's right there in the passenger seat, right next to him, freaks him out, and then that's where it like cuts. So that's kind of like how the movie opens, and that's what you see in the trailer. So when I saw that couple less detail, I was like what? This looks freaky. The fact that he's driving and seeing this person standing there and passing him and seeing the same person standing there, even though he's like flying, he's probably going like 80 if not faster, and then sees him again like a third time. So I thought that was kind of freaky. A lot of potential. I didn't really feel it in the movie. Then what the movie does, it kind of, we see this couple, and they're Probably like in the city. I don't know if they're necessarily like I mean, you assume you see a city, it's like, oh, they must be in New York, whatever. But they're like packing up and everything. So it's like, wait, where are they going? They're basically. I mean, it wasn't fully clear in the beginning, because at first I was like, are they just moving? But no, they're going to take this big, like, long road trip, because they got one of those, I don't even know what you call them, one of those like big luxury vans, like oversized vans that cost probably like, are super expensive. I think they have a name. It's not like a regular. It's like a super deluxe mega van. And they're driving, and then it cuts to like 6 weeks later, and it's like they're still on the road. It's like, where are they going? It's like, it does not take 6 weeks to get anywhere, really. So they're just like driving around. So they basically gave up their life to do this van life, and I guess people do it, because at one point, and the dude, I think his name was Tyler, he's like really into it. And at one point, there's like this gathering. It's called like Burning Van instead of Burning Man. And there's like all these people in vans and everything like that. So it's like a lifestyle, and you just drive around caravan and do that. And I wasn't really sure, because it's like, how are you gonna make a living? Because I think she left her job. He had the option of being able to work remotely, but I don't know if he was gonna still do that while driving around. That basically the gist of what happens is, while they're doing all this, they're going here, they're going there, stuck in traffic and stuff like that. Then at one point, this car comes driving up next to him. It's the car from the beginning of the movie. So the car drives by, and the car's like honking. They're like, what is this dude doing? You just pass if you want to pass. Car passes them, and then it kind of goes around a bend, and it's like drives off the road. It like hits a tree. So they're like, what is going on? They pull over to help him. They see like some like marks on the car, and the dude, I can't remember if he went back to the van, he can get his phone or something like that. But then Maddie, I think her name was, she sees the guy, the passenger door opens up, and he's out there, and he like says something, and then whoosh, he gets pulled back in. So she's like, what is going on? And that's basically, that's like the hook. That's the premise, because the whole thing is this evil entity, because what else could it be, right? If it's on the side of the road and all that, because they stopped, it like latches onto them. And so they continue on their road trip after that. Then weird things start happening, getting a glimpse of this or whatever. And I don't know, for some reason, it kind of bothered me. I was looking at, maybe because we don't necessarily know the reason why this passenger is doing this, but it's like, you're just kind of a jerk. You're annoying. They did nothing except they stopped to try to help this guy out, and now you're just being mean. It's like, that's not cool. I think so whatever, that's how it goes. We don't always get an explanation. But and the thing is, it's not like they did anything necessarily wrong. They were trying to be nice and help this guy, and they're being punished. If you go back to, and I know it's like, it's a horror movie, whatever, it's an evil entity. It doesn't play nice necessarily, okay, yeah. But you look at things like Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, the two of them especially, they set out to get revenge for the wrongdoings against them. Freddy Krueger, Freddy Krueger was a bad guy, killed kids or did whatever. So the parents end up torching him in his boiler room or whatever. And then what does he want to do? He wants to get revenge against the kids of the parents. Vicious cycle, whatever. And okay, so Freddy Krueger's, he's got his motive for being burnt alive, but still, dude, you shouldn't have been killing little kids or whatever. Or I hope that's all he was doing. That's weird to say. And then you got Jason Voorhees. Camp counselors ignored him because they're too busy having sex or whatever in the cabins. And kid falls out of a canoe. Was he in a canoe? Or couldn't swim. Something happens. Drowns in the bottom of the lake because none of the camp counselors are paying attention. So mom is mad at the counselors, wants revenge against them. And then Somehow, Jason Voorhees, even though he drowned, he becomes supernatural. Did Mom do something, some incantation or something? I'm trying to remember back. Jason somehow becomes a supernatural force, resurrected, walks super slow, but can get around. Because there's secret tunnels, right? That's what they did in that one Friday the 13th like remake, or they're all remakes, right? So Jason kind of had a motive. Michael Myers, his older sister was sleeping around with her boyfriend, so she's supposed to be babysitting him, so he kills her, and he wants to kill all horny teenagers. Kind of motive, not really. But this passenger, it's like, what is his motive? What's his plan? He's just doing, so I don't know. It just seemed kind of weird. And the thing that but I can accept that, whatever, because again, that's how evil entities work. That's what they do, I guess. But what bothered me is when they first stop at this burning van thing, Maddie's like looking at this flyer, like all these missing people, because apparently there's all these drivers that go missing, get killed or die in accidents or whatever. And while she's looking at that, she sees this strange symbol like on the wall or whatever. And this lady, I think her name was Alice. I could be wrong about that. But she starts talking to her like, oh, I've been on the road since, whatever, for decades. And she says that there's basically like, some rules that, you don't drive at night. Or maybe her name, no, I think her name was Diana. But she tells her, like, she's like all these warnings, don't drive at night, don't stop at night, whatever, stuff like that. And then later, once they figure out that there's this evil force there, they try to track her down, because she said that she was going to go to like Arizona at a seafood place, whatever. So they go to this van place and try tracking her down. And at first, no one wants anything to do with them. They're like, nope, never heard of her, like that. And then she reluctantly Diana starts talking to him, and she knows all this stuff, all this facts about the passenger, about this, and it's just like, this is so ridiculous now. And so apparently all these people, because a lot of people knew about this passenger thing, because then what she does is she's like, okay, you guys shouldn't have come here, you brought it here, and then she like whistles. I can't do the whistle thing. And basically, it's like there's a signal. It's like, okay, you got to pack up. It's time to go. This evil passenger is coming. We all know about this supernatural entity. It's one thing to believe in, like, I don't know. But basically, it felt like everyone was accepting of the supernatural. And I feel like not everyone is, because you're not really accepting of it unless you see it. And if you see it, that's probably going to be like the last thing you see. So it just felt kind of weird that she knew all these facts, like, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that. It's like, how do you know all this stuff? Who told you? And who? It's not like you get a manual and it's like, oh, don't stop at the side of the road, don't stop at an accident. Says who? How do you know that? How do you figure that out? Did someone die and then you found out? It's like, oh wait, they stopped at that accident. They told me on the CB or something. So that just really took me out of how she knew all about this. And she's like, well, you got to go to this church and whatever. And so I don't know. And in the beginning, it's like Maddie was seeing this stuff. And why was she seeing it, but Tyler wasn't? And then Tyler starts to like, oh, wait, I guess I do believe you, type of thing. So it could have been fine, but I just felt like, I don't know, I felt like it was, I don't know if it was rushed. It felt like it could have been explained a little more or fleshed out a little better. And the thing is, the movie, it's only an hour and a half. It's like 94 minutes. It felt longer than 94 minutes. And part of it, like the pros and the cons, you got the story, you got the developing relationship between Maddie and Tyler, because, I guess, we have to care about them, because if we didn't, then who cares if the passenger gets them or not? And there's kind of some creepy moments. There's sort of some like jump scares and that. So that helps the movie a little. But I don't know, I wasn't feeling it. And you know me, I love the horror movies, but it just, I don't know, it just felt a little lacking. And I was kind of bummed because I went and saw it. Because I saw it last weekend, and I was like, it's like, oh, this is like an extra movie because I saw Mandalorian Grogu, but I was like, I really want to see Pastures, and I was like, I want to talk about it on this week's episode. But after I watched it, I was like, oh man, yeah. I was kind of bummed that I took the time, spent the money to see it, because it was, I don't know, it was just disappointing. And it's not like I had super high standards, because I had only seen that one, teaser trailer, and I hadn't heard anything about it. I didn't even know any of the movies that the director did until just now when I looked them up. All right, so where are we at with this? We don't want it just to be super too long. Okay, let's see other information. Let's see, what's the Rotten Tomato? I should look up the budget too. Okay, so right now, past the weekend, it's been out for a while. The critics' Rotten Tomato thermometer, Jesus, shut up. It's at a 46%. Not great. And that's only 71 reviews. So not a lot of people went to review, because usually it's at least a couple hundred, it seems like. So 271 reviews, 46%. The popcorn meter, 54%. Not great. Yeah. Let's see. Critics' consensus. A stylish ride weighed down by the litany of cliches it picks up along the way. Passenger drives in circles, but has some memorable bumps and jolts during the journey. Okay, so let's see. Hollywood Reporter. This is the whole thing. Like a bright headlight facing you dead on, or the sudden honk of a loud horn, only the jump scares keep you from falling asleep during the seemingly interminable passenger. RogerEbert.com gave it, wait, what? 3.5 out of 4? It is a fairly solid bit of genre craftwork that is a lot more impressive than its desultory release might suggest. Wow. LA Times, it's the genre equivalent of an airbag that deploys already half deflated. Okay. Movie Madness Podcast, 3 out of 4. Though the characters sometimes behave in a special kind of stupid, dealing with the evil, they are nevertheless believable and sympathetic in a very well-crafted and filmed campfire tale that is more satisfying than many of today's horror films. I don't know. Spooky Astronauts gave it a 5 out of 10. It feels like a second draft. Assignment X, I don't know what these are. Crowd-pleasing van life horror. Okay, and then Audience Reviews, Shakur gave it a 1. Absolute trash, horrible acting, and such an annoying script. Heather says, scary but corny at points, like good jump scares. Storyline was okay, but movie was slow at times. Not my favorite, but glad I something. Stephanie H. Original concept, but I wish it was scarier. It's a fun popcorn movie. 3 out of 5. Wow, Lisa gave it 5. Passenger has that true horror vibe. You know, the one where you sit there and say to yourself, don't do that. What are you? Whatever. 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5. Yeah. So there you go. I did not love that. What else can we say about this? Metacritic, it's 52 out of 100 based on 14 critics, mixed or average reviews. Audience surveyed by CinemaScore gave the film an average of B-. Woof, Buzz. Oh, man. Oh, okay, so let's see. How did this do? Ooh, not great. It had a $15 million budget, and it made $15.3 million. So that does not mean it broke even, because they say it has to be like 3 times the budget or 2.5 times the budget. So it still has a way to go. I'm usually more forgiving for horror movies, but I don't know. I just didn't do it. Yeah, it's something different. So I can appreciate that. You got a horror movie on the road. There's some creep. Because again, driving at night is kind of freaky. Even if you're, there's times I'm at work late, And I take back roads, and usually there's no. For me, it's usually like what freaks me out is as I'm driving, and all of a sudden there's a friggin' deer like on the side of the road right there. I'm like, oh my! It's like, why are you so close to the road? And thank goodness they're so used to traffic or cars that they just sit there. But there's been times where they kind of like walk on the road and then they turn around. That's for me is a scary start because I don't want to hit anything. I don't want to hit any critters, and they tend to jump out in the dark, which it's understandable. But come on. So yeah, it can be freaky driving at night, especially if there's like absolutely no one around, and maybe if there's no lights or buildings or anything like that. But I don't know. Just for me, the spirit, the thing, it was more annoying than like scary or horrific. It's just like, what are you doing this? And the fact that it wasn't really clear. It's like, okay, you're a passenger. How are you getting around? Because it's not like it's sitting with them the entire time. Once it latched onto them, because there's a part where I don't know if I guess whatever. It's not really spoiler, but they stop at like a gym, 24-hour gym or whatever, and they parked like a ways away. So she's she heads out to the van early. Tyler's still inside finishing up or whatever. So she starts walking, and then she's here. So this was kind of freaky. She's hearing like footsteps behind her, and she like stops and she like looks around, doesn't see anyone, and then there's no footsteps, and then she looks at the van, and the van is like somehow further away. I mean, so it's a huge parking lot, like kind of like a strip mall place. So that was a little freaky, but it's like, so basically this entity was like outside of the van, walking around, following her, terrorizing her, messing with her, or whatever. And there's parts where like you see it in the van, but then it's not there. So it's like, wait, where does it go? It's not like it's driving along next to him. So is it like always there? And if it's always there, why isn't it always trying to attack them? Because sometimes it seems like it has a physical element to it. Like it can like try to choke you or do whatever. But where does it just disappears and then it's not there? I don't know. It's one thing. I mean, I always joke about like Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers, that they walk so incredibly slow, people are running away from them and somehow they catch up. There's something like that, but this guy doesn't make any sense because he's not even walking. He's somehow there, and then where does he go? And is this just all he does? Is there, there's no, I mean, I guess if you look at like the others, they just keep killing until they're quote unquote defeated, and then they come back and they start doing it again. I feel like I've been talking about this way too long for something that I just wasn't super crazy about. So let me know what you think. I think I'm just disappointed because I wanted more. I expected more. It seemed like a cool concept, and then it just kind of fizzled out for me. So I don't know. So that is Passenger. It's just, I don't even know if I can recommend. I want to recommend it because I feel like it's more of like an indie movie, even though it's Paramount or whatever. But I can appreciate that it's something sort of, something fresh, something different. But yeah, it's, I don't know. So I don't know. I mean, if you like horror movies and you want to try something, go to a matinee, wait till it's streaming. But yeah, I was just disappointed. But apparently some people thought it was great. Not very many, not according to Rotten Tomatoes. But there you go. So that is Passenger. Thankfully, that is not the only movie feature this week. And now the main movie feature is Backrooms. So this, I enjoyed this movie. Let's just get that up there. It's an interesting movie, and I don't know about this whole Backrooms phenomenon. I feel like, because like my daughter knew something about it, and so this was directed and, co-scored by Kane Parsons. So this is his feature-length directorial debut. It's written by Will Sudik. And So basically, Kane Parsons, he had a bunch of videos on YouTube. I watched the first one, and it's like weird. It's like the same set. So it's like, how do you do that? Like, where do you find all these this big room? Because it's like to build it for YouTube. I don't know. So I don't know what his story is. So my experience with Backrooms, and I don't know if I talked about this. I hope I didn't talk about this because it's going to be annoying if I did. But one time I'm like scrolling through TikTok. I don't do that often, but every once in a while I just get sucked in, just whatever suggests it. And this dude, I wish I remembered more. I don't think I like saved it, but this dude was like some building. I don't know if it was a hotel or somewhere, and he finds this access way. He ends up on this other floor, and it's a deserted floor. There's still like there's carpeting in the hallways. There's like elevators, but I think I don't know if the elevators didn't work. Or maybe he got off on the elevator. There's something, and it's like weird because it's like the hotel only went up to a certain floor, and there's this whole other floor that's not even being used, and it wasn't like fully furnished or whatever, like complete, but it's like it could have been. So it seems like a waste. He debated like exploring more about that, and I don't know if he came back the next day or something like that. But then there's a point where he finds some stairs that go up, and as he's going up the stairs, like the wall is missing, and I don't know if there's just like tarp or something like that. So it's like super windy because he's like up high in this building, and you can see outside and everything. So he goes up, and it's like crumbling stairs and everything like that, really freaky. And then he's like, I don't know if I should keep going up. And again, maybe it's all fake and a bunch of BS, but it felt like there was something there. So he goes up, and then there's just more like unfurnished, like whatever, just like not even carpeting or anything like that. So it was like, I don't know if this has anything to do with that idea, that premise, and maybe someone made that video because of this. I don't know who started what, but I think I mentioned this when I mentioned this to my daughter, and I think I showed her the trailer, and she's like, no. And I was like, well, you got to watch it. I was like, well, what would you do if you ever ended up there? And she's like, I would just curl up and die. I was like, no. It's like, you got to watch the movie so how you can learn from it. You can learn how to get out, and maybe you don't really learn that in the movie. But yeah. So what is this movie about? And I don't know if I should get into it right away. Maybe I should. So, but what I wanted to say before I forget is, I don't think I said it. Kane Parsons, I think he's like 20 years old. And I don't remember if I mentioned this last week, but I think that makes him like the youngest like feature film director. Because it used to be like Steven Spielberg, I think he was 28, and it might have been Zach Kreger was 27, and now this guy's 20. And you're seeing some people, I think it was on Threads we were talking about, where some people are questioning, he's like, oh, he didn't really direct it, or he didn't direct it by himself, someone helped him, and this and that. But it sounds like these people are jealous, because here you got this young, talented person, fell into this great opportunity, delivers this amazing movie. And it has what's his name? It has Chiwetel Ejiofor. He's like the main guy. He was in like my favorite movie from last year, Life of Chuck, and obviously he's been in other things like that. But it's just it's a weird movie. So what it says here, January 7th, 2022, Kane Parsons began uploading the anthological video series titled Backrooms onto his YouTube channel. The concept being based on the internet creepypasta of the same name, which I don't really know what that is. And I think it's, let's see if we click on that. Let's see, let's talk about Backrooms. Original creepypasta. Between 2011 and 2018, a photograph of a large carpeted room with fluorescent lights and pale yellow dividing walls circulated on various message boards. I didn't know about this. On May 12, 2019, an anonymous user started a thread on /X, the paranormal, 4chan's paranormal themed board, asking users to post disquieting images that just feel off, accompanying the thread with the photograph. Another user replied to his post, giving the image's name and supplying its first description of Backrooms. If you're not careful, you and no clip out if you're not careful and you no clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the back rooms where it's nothing but the stink of old moist carpet, the madness of mono yellow, the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at maximum hum buzz, and approximately 600 million square miles of randomly segmented empty rooms to be trapped in. God save you if you hear something wandering around nearby, because it sure as hell has heard you. Anonymous. 4chan, May 13th, 2019. So no clip. Since the origin of video games in the early 1970s, the video game industry, the players, and surrounding culture have spawned a wide range of technical and slang terms. Okay, I've never heard that. So yeah, whatever. I'm not going to. I want to read all this stuff now. So we had this idea, and so I'm again looking at Wikipedia. There's a picture of the original picture on 4chan. So it looks like very similar to, like almost identical to what Kane Parsons used. And I'm really curious about these YouTube videos, because there's this company. It's supposed to look like this company is like doing research into this, and there's some of that in the movie. So I don't know if it would be better to watch the YouTube clips and then watch the movie, or watch the movie and then go back, because could the YouTube clips spoil any of the ideas or concepts? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, they're out there already, so people have probably seen them. I don't know, because I haven't watched the other ones. But it takes place in like 1990, so things are a little dated. So let's go into what the movie's about, because then it makes sense. The way the movie opens is interesting. I won't get into it. It's like someone else in the back rooms. But the main gist of what we have here is, so Chiwetel Ejiofor, he plays Clark. He runs a furniture store, and it's not his first choice. There's like other stuff happening, like why he's there, and he's going to therapy about his situation, his anger, and whatever stuff's happening. But he works at this crappy furniture store. It's like not even good furniture. Basically, what happens? Some minor spoilers, not really. He's trying to make. I don't think he owns it, but he's trying to make ends meet or whatever. And it turns out that there's like high electric bills, and because he has like electrician comes in like what is going on? I've even tried shutting stuff down, and the guy's looking at the breakers, like the fuses. He's like, who installed this? Like, this is crazy. There's even like some at the bottom, like at an angle, and he's like, what's this? And Clark's like, what are they? What's that connected to? And the guy's like, nothing. It's not possible. And so basically, there's like rolling, flickering, and stuff's going on. Clark ends up like he's living in the store because of his situation and other stuff that have happened. And one time he's like in the basement in the dark, and there's like this crack of light in the wall. And he's like looking. It's like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. So he goes up to it. He ends up going. He if you watch the trailer, he goes through the wall, and he ends up in the back room, because then it's like this big, yellow room. There's a huge pile of furniture, like right there. And he's like, what's going on? He goes exploring and stuff like that, and it's just like this maze. So I guess I should back up. In the beginning, there's someone else going through the back rooms, and they're kind of. It's almost like a first person, and it's pretty freaky, because you're going through. There's something else there, and as you're going around, it's like, because you go through like a doorway. You have to, you're looking straight ahead, but you also need to look left and right, because there's like all these little like alcoves or whatever, or hallways, and it seems like it's like never ending, and that's the freaky thing about it, and that's why like you get trapped in there. And so when Clark goes there, he spends all his time like searching. It's just crazy that how could you do this, and it would be freaky, because there's no door there. And a lot of the rooms are similar. I would be afraid of, like, if you went somewhere and then you came across that room. Maybe it's not the exact room. Maybe it's another room that looks identical. And as you're going through the different rooms, there's like random stuff like around. Like in some rooms, there's kind of like pieces of furniture that are like melded into the walls and the floor. So it's like, what is going on? It's like, why? How did that happen? How it's like I don't want to say anything too much, but it's just kind of freaky and everything like that. So he tells his therapist about this because he's just like, what did I discover? What is this place? Because he tried mapping some of it out, but there's just like so much of it, and he didn't want to get lost. And she's just like, I believe you, but she says she's willing to believe him, but she's not sure. He's like, well, okay, I'll get you proof. So he goes to his like assistant manager and because her boyfriend has like a camera from the camp or something like that. So he wants to like record some stuff, and it goes from there. And it gets like more, you find out more, or you see more, and it's freaky. And this is what I like. I guess I love the freakiness. It's like what is going on? It makes no sense, and I will admit, as I was watching this, my big fear was I was like so into this, and I was just so intrigued. But then I was like, what if this has a crappy ending? Because that tends to happen sometimes, where you get like these big, bonkers, crazy ideas, but then it's like, how do you stick the landing? And looking at Rotten Tomato, I saw a couple people weren't thrilled with the ending. I'm kind of okay with it because it kind of, I don't want to say anything else, but I'm kind of okay with it. I could see how some people wouldn't like it, but there's definitely, I will say it doesn't give you all the answers. It gives you some answers, but it has to leave you for more, because maybe we'll get a sequel, or who knows. The interesting thing, when I went to the theater to see this, we're sitting there. There's just a few people in there, and then someone's like, "Oh, they moved it to the theater next door, to the next screen." And then I was just like, "What? It's nice that he told us." And then like the manager comes in, she's like, "Oh, so sorry." I think she's a manager. So so sorry, but we moved over there. And they're like, you sit in the same exact seats, because the theater is like the same layout with the same number of rows and all that, because they have different size theaters and whatever. And she's like, just let us know if there's someone in your seat, and we can, figure something out. And because I think a couple seats were like double booked or whatever. So for whatever reason, I don't know if there was 2 screenings or if something happened to the one, but they moved us over, and there was already a bunch of people in there, and the trailers had just started. My seat was fine. And what was interesting is there's a group of people. Actually, because in the first theater, when we're walking in, this couple was ahead of me, and the lady's like, "Is this a theater for Backrooms?" I was like, "I think so. I hope so." And it turned out it wasn't. But that couple was meeting like some other people too, and there was like a seat that was booked. So then one lady, she's like, "Whatever, I'll go in this other row." So she goes in a seat in my row. And then what I noticed, I don't think she knew. So this lady was like talking to the person who she sat next to. It must have been some other like older person. And like during the movie, she was like talking to her. They're talking to this person, and it's like, you don't talk during the movies, but some people do that. And I just found it was kind of, as much as I hate that, it wasn't, they weren't talking super loud. It wasn't really annoying. But what I kind of liked about it is that it's like, if and I could be wrong, but if these two people were strangers, the fact that, it's nice when you can be in a world where you can just like talk to a stranger during a movie, and it's like not like hostility or anger or anything like that, even though you shouldn't be talking during movies. So it was had nothing to do with the movie, but I thought that was interesting, and it was like an interesting crowd for this movie. I don't know. Is it because A24? Did these people watch these movies or watch the YouTube stuff? I don't understand. But I always, sometimes I find that interesting to see who is seeing this movie. You should be seeing this movie. What I'll say, it's just, it's so weird and bizarre, and there's just other things, and it's freaky. Just the idea when you see just the magnitude, the scope of these rooms and the layouts, and just the fact that like there's so much like different random things, and this is where I kind of pull myself out a little bit and just like watching. It's like holy crap, just to come up with all this stuff, and just to make it, who I don't know who did the set designs or what, but it was just kind of crazy. The movie has a $10 million budget. And so I look at this, and what I say, Passengers was, I think it was 15 million. That's crazy. I don't understand how that has a $15 million budget, because this one, just the set alone, and I don't know, maybe this is cheaper because you don't have to go driving, go on locations or whatever, have other vehicles and this and that. But I don't understand, and it may be out there. I don't know if there's any interviews or any information, but the fact that he had some of this, at least for the first YouTube video is like 9 minutes long, and I think the other ones are just like a couple minutes. I think I could be wrong of this, and I don't want to pull up my phone or whatever, but I think there's like 22 episodes. There's like a playlist. So if you just search Backrooms, you'll see trailers for this or whatever, but then you'll see like playlist for this or whatever it says. So I do want to watch those, because I'm really curious about this, and it's freaky. I would hate to be trapped in one of them. I don't even know if I'd want to visit one. It would be freaky, because my fear would be, you walk through this wall, and what Clark does, he puts like some painter's tape over like on the wall, so it's like, here's the door, and he put it on the other side too, so you can see where it's at, which is very smart. My fear would be like, okay, it's not a real door. Somehow you are walking through a wall. What is that about? How is that possible? That right there is like, are you talking about some interdimensional trickery? It's like that's just not natural. It's one thing if you're walking through an actual door, but if you're walking through to a different reality, or somehow phasing, like what? How? So my fear would be, aside from getting lost or trapped, or my would be being trapped. You walk through, and then what if that door stops working? What if somehow, if it is another reality, what if it shifts and it's not there? Or what if it somehow, it's in another room that's like on the other side, or who knows what? And again, maybe it's not. I keep saying interdimensional or whatever. Maybe it's not. Is it just on the? Because what's on the other side of the store? And I think when he maps it out, it's pretty clear that this furniture store is like in a strip mall, and this doesn't make sense. It's not possible. And when you see some of the stuff later, you're like, there's no way this doesn't work. So what is happening? And that's the big question. That's what I want to know. How is this possible? And I will say, obviously, we're not going to get that answer in this one, because I don't even know if you should ever answer it, because if you give an answer, they actually, no, I take it back. Did they kind of mention a little bit, but not really, sort of. But I feel like if they just said, this is how it started, it's going to be disappointing. And once you know that, then it's like, well, then we don't need to see any more of this, because we already know. So I don't know. I find it very fascinating. Like I said, the ending, you're either gonna be okay with it or you're not. But I think you need to be open with it and say, okay, this makes sense, and this is okay. We need more. And I don't know if there'd be any possibility. See, May 2026, Parsons expected that more of the franchise would be seen, quote, in the not so distant future. Okay, so that's good to know. Obviously, when you make this, you probably have an idea. And I think most people nowadays, you don't necessarily think like, oh, I'm just going to do a one-off, that's it. Kind of the mentality of everything is like, can we make a franchise out of this? Can we do at least, or like a trilogy at least? Can we do more? So I think when what do I know? Here I'm saying this stuff like I know what I'm talking about. But I would think that when you create a story or movie or whatever, you're probably, you should tell like beginning, middle, and end. You have to have some sort of conclusion, but at the same time, you want to leave it hanging. Like you have some elements where you could continue, and you have to have some big ideas. You can't just give everything here, the first thing, because then there's nowhere to go on. But in the back of your mind, you must be, and this would be the hard part. It's like, okay, I would love to do more. I want to tell this big story. I got this really cool idea, but if I put it all in this first one, then I won't have anything for the next thing. But if I don't put in this first one, and the first one isn't successful enough, then I'll never get to use that story or that element or whatever. So that would be the hard part, I think. Let's just, I don't know if I'm just babbling now. Rotten Tomato, it went up from when I last looked, so it still could be changing. When I last looked before, I just refreshed my browser, it was, the critics was at an 88%, now it is at a 90%. That's great. Audience is at a 74%. And I'm going to think it's because of the ending. I think some people are just not gonna like it. I don't want to say that they don't get it, but like what I'm saying about you can't deliver everything at once. You got to have other things. You got to leave some stuff. So it's and the fact that this is supposed to be weird, so it's not all going to make sense. You could almost argue, it's like, oh, they're just doing that because they don't even know what they're doing. So it doesn't make sense because they don't know. But I think that that's not quite the reason. So I really enjoyed it. I want to see it again. I'm just so intrigued by this, and I don't know. I mean, I hope we get something sooner rather than later. How is it doing? So if it's okay, so it's a $10 million budget. What is it? It's doing pretty good so far. Let's see. Wait, no, there's something else here about filming. I should talk about that. Its initial projections had it grossing around $20 million its opening weekend. By the week of its release, projections had increased to $40 to $50 million. Okay, so let's say $40 million. If it has a $10 million budget, $40 million, it's making 4 times its budget. It is successful. If it makes $50 million, all the better. And I think there's something to be said about this. You look at this, you look at Obsession. These are both like small, I don't necessarily say indie, but these are smaller, way smaller budgets. And they're being super successful. And so I think there's something to be said about that, where you're getting these young creators that are being allowed or haven't given the opportunity to create something that is a little different. Because like this, I mean, technically you can say this is like a horror story, but it's not a slasher movie. It's something different. And I think maybe that's saying that that's something people want. Because even like Passenger wasn't really, was it a slasher movie? Not really. I mean, you got that supernatural element, some Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, Jason, some bad guy chasing, but it's not quite the same. And that, it felt a little familiar, like whatever. For this and Obsession, they're like totally different vibes. So I think there's something to be said about that. And I'm so thrilled, so happy that people are able to appreciate that people haven't like given up on like original ideas and just want the same old. So I definitely think you should see this. I want to see it again. I want to support this movie. I would love to see more. And it's weird and freaky, but it's supposed to be. And I think there's something to be said about that than rather just doing the plain old straight boring stuff all the time. So I don't know. I feel like I've said enough about this. So I definitely think you should watch it. It's just so fascinating. And I got to watch the rest of those YouTube videos because I'm really curious. Because I think I see how those videos could be connected. So I'm really curious to see what else is on there. I will say, if you watch the first one, It's there is obviously a cheaper budget there because there's like I will say there's something in the back rooms in that video. It doesn't look that great. It's not what you get in the movies. It's totally different. So definitely watch this movie as soon as you can. So that is going to be it for this week. Thank you for listening. Big thanks to Andrew Loken for being an awesome supporter. You can be a supporter by going to patreon.com/gmanfromheck. Any amount you can commit to will be awesome. If you commit at the Rick Jones tier or higher, you get access to The Secret Podcast from Heck, which is an additional 30-ish minutes of extra podcast entertainment every single week. Last week I did an Off My Mind about Ben Reilly, just talking about the Clone Saga and him becoming evil and how he is so not like he is Peter. Don't get me started. He is Peter Parker at his core, and there's no way he would be acting like this. So there's stuff to talk about there. This week I'm probably going to do like a Silver Age DC Comics weird, wacky, goofy look back issue because those are kind of like refreshing, especially after being so angry. I need something fun. But if you can't commit to a monthly commitment, you can also help out by going to coffee.com/gmanfromheck, and you can buy me a virtual cup of coffee or two. That is ko-fi.com/gmanfromheck. All right, so what are we going to have next week? Like I said, I don't think there's any new TV shows coming out, returning. So we'll have some more Spider-Noir, hopefully more than one. The movie feature will be He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Is that the whole title? I don't know. I want to be positive for this. I'm really rooting for it. I don't know. I think someone said like, oh, people are going to be surprised by this. I hope so. I worry because of how Skeletor are going to be. I didn't mention his news, but someone on Instagram posted a video of a Skeletor action figure where he's wearing like a business suit. And it's like, what does that mean? I mean, is there some like Earth connection? I hope not. But yeah, I don't know. That might have been a spoiler. I don't even know. Maybe I don't even know if it's real. But I want to be supportive of this. I'm a fan of Camila Mendes. I got to talk to her once at WonderCon for Riverdale, and so fingers crossed. And I don't want to see a bad movie, so it'd be great if it's successful and we could have more. So Idris Elba's in it too, right? And then I'd forget who's playing He-Man. So yeah, that's going to be it. Down to 2 weeks of school. We got this week and next week. I got so much to do. I'm just, trying to get through it all. I hope you are hanging in there. I hope you're doing all right. I hope you're finding time for fun things. I hope you remember, be good to each other.